What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another ladder story. Today's replay is on Metropolis. It is a Protoss versus Zerg, and in the top right here we have Rain, who is playing under the alias Mini Maxi. Just to confuse us, it is not Mini, it is definitely Rain, but yeah, he's decided to use this quite well-known alias of his, which confuses us a little in today's game. And his opponent is a barcoded Zerg. I looked up this player's stats. His alias is Escal, so Esckal is his main alias, and this is an incredibly high MMR Zerg. He's actually a 2600 plus, so page one of the leaderboard kind of thing. So he is definitely going to be giving Rain one hell of a game today. Just opening with a overpull, and Rain, as is his tendency, is going with a gateway first, so we will be seeing a little bit of zealot pressure. So Rain is a player that I really enjoy covering. He's a bit of an enigma because I've heard Artosis and others say that he's considered to probably be the best Protoss player in the world, but he doesn't ladder that much. He doesn't play and practice nearly as much as the other pros do because he's good at other games. One of them that I'm aware of that he's really, really good at is League of Legends. And I honestly think that if you're good at games that are much bigger than Broodwar, and there's more money in games that have got a much, much bigger viewership than Broodwar has, then, you know, why wouldn't you play those games? So I suppose it is a little bit of a pity for Broodwar itself that Rain doesn't perhaps dedicate himself to it more. But it's totally understandable because, I mean, the reality is Broodwar has got some somewhat diehard boomer fan base, and it relies quite heavily on crowdfunding. But if you're trying to make a career and do things that are sustainable, it kind of makes sense to do it with other games that have got a much bigger viewership, much more funding behind them. We all saw what happened to Starcraft 2. It's a continuous struggle to even just keep that game alive. So, yeah, it makes sense not to put your eggs in one basket. So, opening up with our Nexus. This is always the pain of the gateway first, is you've got to protect the pylon. You don't want to let Lings into your base. So, we're just going to call the Zerg Cal for the sake of the cast. So, putting on some pressure here is obviously going to try and get his forge up. Also making a pylon here just to give him a little bit of protection so that if this pylon were to go down, this gateway would still be powered. So has done that. Fended off these couple of Lings, and I think he will stabilize quite nicely now, and we'll probably start to progress into our next phase of today's game. We've got our hatchery down pretty quickly. We have not gone lair as of yet because we don't have the gas, so let's see if we get a lair straight away. Okay, so not going to be a hatchery bust timing attack from our Zerg. He's probably looking like playing a little bit more of a standard macro style, and Rain is getting his cybernetics core, and in all likelihood will go Stargate, and we will progress into a relatively standard macro game, which is exciting. PVZ macro games are really, really exciting. It's awesome to see the fights, the storms, the storm dodging, the tick switches, the muta switches, the base denials. This, for many reasons, is a lot of people's favorite matchup, and the dynamics here are really, really good. It's a very much a pendulum swing kind of match. So in the early parts, Protoss tends to be a little bit more defensive, and then as the game moves into sort of mid-game, and Protoss powers up to 8 gateways, spellcasters are out, then obviously the pressure swings the other way, and Zerg has to be able to defend all of their bases. So, Rain's style of play, he definitely does like Corsairs. He does play pretty standard. You don't see him introducing weird things like Reavers into this match. He tends to kind of just do normal things. Is going to go with the +1, so it's going to be a 1-1 possibly. Yeah, we can see the +1 ground as well. This is a very common build when you're learning the game. You're taught as Protoss to play the Zealot Corsair open, and then from there you pivot into something else. Our holy crap, we've got a lot of Lings. So our Cal is making and hiding away a big whack of Lings here. So this does seem to be... I don't want to say it's all in, but... There's 14 Lings here in total. That's definitely not standard at this stage of the game. And I don't think this is going to do any damage except to the economy of our Zerg. Perhaps the thinking here is to counterattack when the 7-minute timing of Protoss happens. So for those of you who don't know, the build that Rain is following requires about 8 Zealots and 6 Corsairs to hit either the natural or the third of Zerg at exactly 7 minutes and 30 seconds. So we have the Zealot count already. We need one more. What we don't yet have is the Corsair count. How many Corsairs do we have? Or where are our Corsairs? Currently just have 2 Corsairs. Here is our Spire. Making some more Overlords. So we have been supply blocked. We can't make any Scourge. We have made 1 pair though. Oh, we're going to get intercepted. Oh dear. Alright, so our little pod of Lings, 14 strong, have been made in anticipation of our move out. So here do come our 8 Zealots as predicted. We're going to be shy 1 or 2 Corsairs. The Corsairs here are juking and duking against the Scourge as is. But here we go. Here's our first move out. Let's see if we get anything down. No Sunkens or anything. A relatively decent Sim City. I think he's going to go for this. Not really get great surface area. Not every Zealot is engaged in the fight. Also now a bit of a surround. Hydras have shown themselves. So it is a 5-hatch Hydra from Cal versus Zealot Corsair from Rain. Rain, I think, is going to have to make some cannons behind this, which we can see in the production tab he is doing. His +1 air has kicked in, but he does not actually have... he does, I beg your pardon, have a decent gathering of Corsairs. But he will need to use those Corsairs to force Zerg to leave some Hydras at home. Otherwise, this does become very, very scary and very, very difficult to hold on with. Okay, so that should be enough cannon coverage. And there's a couple of things that these Corsairs will be doing. They'll be keeping some Hydras at home, and they'll be seeing when our Zerg returns to droning, right? So he's got, this is now yet another hatchery here. So he's definitely not committing to going all in. He's going to maybe try and pick off this +1 upgrade. He's going to target down this gateway. Looks like Rain is positioning himself to get his 8 gateways pretty soon. Oh, that's unfortunate. The High Templar popping out the front of the gateway and getting picked off immediately. That's a very, very sad outcome. You can see Rain is struggling with his minerals to gas ratio here. Hydra's fending that away. You can see this Cal plays at 400 APM. He's no slouch. He does have a few unemployed workers. So Rain reckons he's got the critical mass now to push these Hydras back. I don't think he's right. I dare say. Oh dear. 4 cannons. Is making lurkers behind this and getting missile attack upgrade. A round of gateway units have come out, including some High Templars. I didn't see Storm getting researched, but I'm going to assume he has it because he's getting Dragoon range, he's getting a Robo. He understands that at 10 minutes, this is very normal for Zerg to be getting Lurker Tech out. He does not want to get contained by Lurkers, so the only way that he can break out is using Dragoons and Observers. So I think that's where this is going. He's already making his first round of goons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's going to be standard 8 gateway. He does not have enough zealots to take this fight. Run! So many hydras. Oh my word. What are you doing, Rain? Come on, man. Don't be crazy. Alright, so Dragoons hit the field. Observatories on the way. Range on the way. So we should now see this, what I was describing, where you go from pendulum being in one way to the other. Protoss has got to move out into the map. It's got to establish a map presence. It's got to throw down some good storms. And the reason is so that they can tee up taking their third base. Sending a few zealots here, presumably just to have them available for a flank. So we'll watch this now. These zealots are out here. There's lots of hydras here. He's got some goons. I don't know what happened to his... Oh, there's 2 of his High Templars. So Rain is running everybody around here. And he's got his Corsairs that he's controlling. Oh, this is a lot of Zerg. This is scary, man. So Rain using his goons and the High Templars up on the high ground as safety to try and establish a third, which I think is a very good move. And it's kind of just running these zealots around just to force Cal to stay central in the map and not to just give him a clear target. I think he could probably take this engagement, although it looks like he's going to lose all of these zealots. These zealots have kind of been trapped in no man's land. I don't know what we're doing here, Rain. We're just sending out random pods of zealots to get surrounded. Does run them back. Somehow a few of these zealots are still alive, but they're going to get picked up now by these hydras. So 147 plays 126. Don't want to say it's been a weird game, but it's been a weird game. A little bit at least. Alright, so how many bases we got? We're still on 3. And if we're Zerg, we've kind of established now that we need a 4th because our Protoss is going up to 3. I expect Rain will then try and get some central map control, take some good engagements against the hydras while positioning to take a 4th. And then we should probably just see unrelenting battles and attacks and sort of ebb and flow between the 2 players. This DT has showed up. So has the Overlord though. So no surprises there. And here we go. So positioning into the middle of the map, suddenly consolidating what is a scary looking force. 4 High Templars with us, 1 Observer. And we can see them converging into what is going to be a very, very manageable engagement for Protoss. There's lots and lots of Protoss here. Not that many Hydras, especially if you get 1 or 2 storms off. So Cal says, nah, I don't want the engagement. Rain says, come, 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 let's go. Chasing him relentlessly. Probably just trying to consolidate or take the engagement in a better spot. If I had to hazard a guess. Yeah, it's got some more units here, some lurkers. So Rain decides to move away. Knowing where a lot of the army is, he could just press the natural here. And here we go. Decides to move in. Observer could be sniped. That's a nice storm. Not engaging with everything here. Keeping his zealots behind. I think that's quite intentional. You want to try and trade. You want to try and get as many storms off as you can. The risk, of course, of getting flanked is not great, but there's plenty and plenty of reinforcements. So some of his forces have remained behind. He threw off what storms he had left. And I think just on numbers alone, he's calculating that he can probably take this engagement. The Hydras are running with their proverbial tails, tentacles, whatever the frick you want to call them, between their legs. And this is going to be a very favorable engagement for Protoss. These zealots, tanky boys, getting on top of everything. Once we try and get up the hill, though, that's a different kettle of fish. So the trade suddenly went from being really efficient to somewhat sloppy. So it did, I think, unnecessarily sack and lose those zealots if we want to be a little bit hypercritical. Rain has actually expanded to a 4th behind this and is moving into a very strong economic position. Pressuring this position again. Dragoons, really very, very powerful unit in mid-game. Where Zerg tends to be able to turn here is Hive Tech. So Dark Swarms, Plagues, Cracklings, etc. That will certainly reduce the effectiveness of the Goon game. And we can see the Hive is in play. No Defiler Mound as of yet. Does lose the Observer. It does have his spare though. And Rain is continuing to move forward here. Perhaps has a critical mass to end the game. It's going to be close. Nice storm dodge there. Getting a little bit of a flank from the side and from the top and from this angle. It's too many spaces. The Zerg, the Dragoons have got no idea what direction to shoot in. So they're all going to get knocked down. And our Cal is going to hold on there in what was a really gruesome engagement. But he handled it really well. And now it's time to reinforce. And probably just go again. A little bit of a split up, messy battle here. 4 High Templars, additional gateways in production. When you've got the 4 bases, 10 gateways is the way to go. So Rain should have plenty of macro power. That's probably the hardest thing playing this match as Protoss, is continuing to hit your macro behind microing these fights. This is definitely the most micro-intensive of the 3 matches for a Protoss player. Because you've got to manage your spellcasters, you've got to have your Dragoons in front, your Zealots behind, you've got to break the lurker line. There's a little bit more to it than perhaps the other 2 matches. Cracklings, or just Lings in general, are the engagement unit of choice here from Cal. 162 plays 132. With some good trades, this could go either way. Just basically Ling lurker, so less and less Hydras being made, as we can see in the production tab. This is just Ling Man, and Ling Man will reduce the power of the Dragoons, but lurkers are doing an amazing job reducing the efficacy of Zealots. And this trade did not go well for Protoss, it doesn't look like. Absolutely hemorrhaging units. The Lings are trading very nicely, and once again he is now making some more Hydras. Interesting to see if he makes the Hydras for the intentions of making more lurkers, or if he's going to continue with this Ling Hydra lurker composite. I guess the biggest challenge for him will be gas. That needs to probably take another base as well here as our Protoss. I think he as our Zerg. I think he could afford to do so, and he does. As we're speaking, he does. Because he should be able to use the Nidus to reinforce down here. And I just think he's probably got, in terms of army supplies, enough agile critical mass on the map to hold any pressure from Rain. Rain, on the other hand, probably also needs to consider changing gears here and take a 5th base of his own. So I think he just wanted to confirm that there was no base over there. So Cal, sensing that Rain's army is potentially out of position, is going to perhaps press up here. He does have the Defiler, and this is going to be scary. Alright, so up the ramp we go. Where is our Defiler? There it is. Our little wiggly space worm running away. Throws down the first Dark Swarm. I heard this called a Dorito Cloud in Gypsy's stream. I thought that was a pretty cool expression for Dark Swarm. I reckon it's probably been used for quite a while. It was the first time I saw it, and I thought that was a pretty fun way of explaining it. So definitely adds a strong defensive dynamic, the Defiler in the late game. Expanding here now to take a 5th is Rain. I think that Zerg wants to try and cut this off. Rain, those army control and army positioning remains pretty strong. So he is in exactly the right place. Some more units though cutting across the map, and we're a little bit all over the show here. It's predominantly Lings. Lings will not trade very well against Archons. Archons do a nice amount of splash damage against Lings, but it is just ultimately about critical mass. Supplies are getting pretty close. Another engagement here from Rain, but this one's got no observer with it. No storm. Is now pulling and consolidating his units in to pressure this bottom left position for the first time in this match. There's a lot of lurkers here though. And also the reinforcing Nidus tells me that I don't think he's going to get much done here. This is a really strong Zerg player, guys. My Rain is an absolute beast. It's also incredibly good at this match. And this is a very, very, very competitive game. Another really good flank from Zerg. Another trade that is not going particularly well for Rain. Just the speed with which this guy plays. He's unrelentingly 380 APM the whole time. Absolute monster. Look at the number of lurkers. Holy crap. So is he now going to hit him on the counter? He's got a supply lead for the first time in the game, so I reckon the door is open. We've got some cannons, but when Dark Swarm is on the field, cannons are far less attractive. We have a huge convergence here, but it's predominantly zealots. So we're using the zoom out because we're trying to show that he wants to pressure this position. Lings versus zealots will trade fine. So here we go. I was expecting the Dark Swarm to come down, and there it is. Another Dark Swarm on top of the cannons. This is going to prove to be incredibly difficult for Rain to hold. Is sending his army down here. He hasn't actually burrowed all of his lurkers. I think he wants to try and get onto the high ground where all of the probes are retreating to. Rain is losing heaps here, guys. This is not even funny. Decides, actually, you know what? I'm not even going to try and engage. I'm going to sack that. I'm going to try and counterattack. But just the sound of spines is unrelenting. Some decent storms here. But this base is going to go down. That base was never established, and that's just over. Has managed to break through here, but look at Rain's supply differential. He's down about 20 supply. Has now got to a point where he can potentially kill 1 or 2 drones. The reinforcing Nidus down here is obviously paying big dividends. Zerg, though, continuing to pressure bases, accepting maybe that he could probably cover this on retreating or reinforcing Zerglings, but even if he can't, Rain's army is basically almost fully committed to this attack, and therefore more bases can go under threat. Zealots are going to try and tidy up what's remaining of this lurker forces. And this hatchery does go down, but breaking up here with a handful of units that he's got left, I don't think he's going to go. Also throws down the egg on the ramp just to make it a done deal. Does manage to clutch hold here. And this is not just a any old PVZ, guys. This is a really, really cracking game. Okay, so going to probably re-establish here. No problem. Looks to establish here as well at the same time. Both players are starting to run out a little bit of money. So Zerg's got this base and this base. This is mined out though. This is mined out. This is mined out. So Zerg, although holding really well and pressing really well, is running out of money. Rain's got this still. Rain's got this still. Those are his 2 mining bases. So it is going to be close just on the money side of things now, more than anything else. And we can see that although supplies were dead even, the base count that Rain has is definitely paying massive dividends now, because he's able to build up an army at a much, much, much quicker rate than what Cal is able to. So where will he pressure is the question. There is really only one valuable target, which is down here in the bottom left. It's a Defiler, which is always a valuable target. The benefit of the main, of course, is that a lot of the tech is here. Nice plague on the zealots. Gonna get a bit of a sandwich here. Nice storm. Oh, those lurkers went down really quickly. Oh, decent storm as well there. Good dodging. Oh, not second time round. 1 was good, 2 not so good. And then he ends up storming a lot of his own units. Everybody who's ever played Protoss has done that many times. So 136 plays 99. Feels to me like he should be fine to stock up again, but even though it's the same number of mining bases, it just seems to have difficulty building up supply. Got some lurkers here to stop re-establishing any additional bases. Does like Lings, doesn't he? Just checks if Zerg had established a space, sees the drone, kills the drone. So definitely understanding his win condition here is Rain. And I think he wants to give this base another go. So tries to cut through a little bit with a couple of storms. We can hear the units coming through the Nidus. Feels like a somewhat bottomless supply of storms here. Knight decides to go for it. Our Zerg really is starting to run on fumes. Once he breaks into this high ground, it's going to be a massive. He's got a big concentration of his drones here as well. Some reinforcing lurkers have come from the top side. Does have an observer in place. And is able to tidy up those lurkers pretty quickly. This hatchery is going to go down. There isn't really much to defend here either. And I think this is going to be the end of the road for our Zerg. What an incredible game this was. There was definitely a period there where I thought Rain, when the supplies were even at around the 20-minute mark, I thought this was going to be a very difficult game for him to win. But he was able to hold on to this base, basically mine this one out, hold on to his army. Zerg needs almost an unlimited amount of money to be able to keep trading and to wear the Protoss down. But some good composure from Rain, some decent spell casting, a lot of good micro. Got the job done against an absolute beast of a Zerg player. A 390 plus APM. Really, really strong player. But Rain seems to have just been able to pull it off today. Just this last little mining base here. I suppose that's the only thing that he kind of needs to do to lock it down is establish another mining base. I don't think it's going to matter, simply because his opponent has been pegged so far down in terms of supply and mining bases. But if you want to be 100% safe, which is what Rain has chosen to do, establish the base, wait and see. There's not really much his Zerg opponent can probably do to him. Some more Archons, which will do really well against what is predominantly Zerglings. This lurker has run all the way here. Just to be a nuisance. Run, Larry, run! Oh, good job, Larry's gone. Okay. Doom. So guys, I'm definitely not getting the views and the engagement on the Korean pro games as much as I am on games that feature people like Toggles and Artosis. I am hoping that that changes. I'm trying really hard to find good games of really excellent players like Rain. So please do like and interact with videos like this just to kind of give me a signal that you are enjoying these games. Some of the games I've watched in the past, the audio was definitely not great. In spots, and just me in general, like I think my energy was a bit flat, so I've been trying to improve both of those things. So any feedback on these pro games that I'm doing on the ladder, featuring really good players, would be very much appreciated. This game is looking like it is going to wrap pretty soon, so I just wanted to get that mentioned before we closed off. I am on a mission to hit 1,000 subs before the end of the year, so if you are a regular viewer or a new viewer, and you like what you're seeing, I am here 5 times a week with Broodwar content. Pretty committed to the journey. So any support in my journey, just by hitting that subscribe button, would really mean a lot to me. And that's it, man. I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Enjoy this end here with me, where it looks like it's going to be death by Archon for our Zerg. And the drones start to go down. A very valiant effort from our Zerg. As I've mentioned before, an absolutely excellent player. This is a lot of Archons, man. Wow, did they chow through that hatchery? That was beautiful. And that is the end of that. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I had a lot of fun today. Thank you for coming to spend some time with me. I'll be back again very soon, and until next time, you take it easy.